everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Virtual Song Stages and Seafood Festival, proudly sponsored by the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador and Powell's Supermarket, your local grocer since 1948. I'm one of your hosts, Chloe, and welcome to our second night of the festival. What a great show we have in store for you this evening. If everything was back to normal, we would have been celebrating Hooked on Local at the Royal Canadian Legion. Tonight, we're happy to be joined by Chris Mercer, who will be demonstrating how to cook salt and pepper squid and lemongrass charred habanero dipping sauce, with entertainment provided by Ronnie Power. We'll be heading back up to Nan's Kitchen at Powell's Supermarket, where we'll see how their famous cakes are made. That's all coming up right now, so stay with us.
Started, let's head on into Chef Chris Mercer's kitchen, where he will begin to show us how to make his salt and pepper squid with lemongrass charred habanero dipping sauce.
Hi, my name is Chris Mercer. I'm the head chef currently at the Adelaide Oyster House. Normally we'd be in Bay Roberts this weekend, but since we're all socially distancing and playing it safe and being home, we're going to make up some seafood dishes that you can pretty easily prepare at home. I'm going to be using some local squid to make basically a salt and pepper squid with a lemongrass soy salt dipping sauce, and we're going to do a totally gluten-free version, which is always nice. So we got all the ingredients here that we need. It's a pretty simple dish, but we're going to show you how to cut and clean squid and how to fry properly, and how to get a nice spicy well-balanced sauce going. So what we have here are Scotch bonnet peppers. It's one of the more spicy peppers around. I'm only going to use one to start because I think that's all I'm going to need. What I'm going to do is char them off in a hot pan, which I've got here. I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in it, and I'm just going to kind of blister and char them. Charring them off is going to give them a roasty flavor. It's also going to dull the heat a little bit. You still got to be really careful with habaneros, but toasting them is going to dull the heat and give them more depth of flavor. And while those are toasting, we're going to start working on our sauce. So what we're going to use is some green onions here. I'm going to take these. Chop the bottoms off. I'm going to keep the tops for later and just use the bottoms in the sauce. These are not the most amazing green onions, but it's Newfoundland in a pandemic, so you kind of take what you can get. So let's cut them very fine. Put in a bowl. So that was about 6 to 8 green onions. Take some ginger. Normally you measure ginger in inches. This would be like a couple inches of ginger. I'm going to take just a little bit of this, probably half an inch. Use that. So you don't really need to worry about peeling with ginger. I normally never peel ginger. Peel as long as it's not dirty. There's plenty of flavor. There's no reason you really need to peel it off generally. I'm just going to slice it thin. Then I'm going to go this way. Then I'm going to turn all those pieces around. And then I'm going to dice them. With ginger, it's kind of like garlic. You want to get some nice small pieces so that they're not too overpowering. And you also don't want to be chewing on big chunks of ginger. And usually you'll have to go through it again just a little bit just to get it finer. good. Gonna add that to the green onions. I think our habaneros are toasted enough. You can kind of see they're kind of charred on the outside. So, and they like to pop sometimes, so be careful. I'm just gonna take those out. Carefully put them on a plate and let them cool before we work with them again.
Thanks, Chris. Now it's time to hear some music from our friend Ronnie Power.
Hi folks, my name is Ronnie Power. I'm here in Bay Bulls tonight, as you can see through the window, the lovely Bay Bulls, and the 24th of May weekend. And I was originally supposed to be booked to play at the Song Stages and Seafood Festival in Bay Roberts, and I've been there for many years. Great festival, but unfortunately with COVID-19 this year, it's all put on hold. But I'm sure next year it will be back in full force. It's a great festival. I've been there for many years, going back, 10 years or more, with different groups. Me and Darcy Broderick played there last year and played out there with Kaylee, Celtic Connection, and the Irish Descendants. And it's a great festival, really well run, great music, great stories, and great food. The food is fantastic. My God, I haven't seen so much great seafood all in one place, and you get a lot. It's really good. We really enjoy it, and look forward to getting back out there next year. So I'm going to do a song right now from Ryan's Fancy. I sang this out there last year, and hopefully I'll sing it there next year. It's called Tie Me Down. Well, I've been real, and I've been well. I've been dusty, old and grassy, wet trails. But I miss the friends that linger in the streets of my hometown. You love me, oh, believe me, tie me down. Oh, tie me down, tie me down. Well, you know I never meant to play around. If you love me, oh, believe me, and I'll go with you now. We've got to get together, tie me down. Well, I've known some, more than one, and I've done some things I wish I'd never done. Well, they granted me a devil and I long to be a clown. You love me, you believe me, tie me down. Oh, tie me down, tie me down. Well, you know I never meant to play around. If you love me, oh, believe me, and I'll go with you now. We've got to get together, tie me down. Well, we sold, we no more. There'd be nothing our hearts would be for. Give me some consideration before you turn around. If you love me, tie me down. Oh, tie me down, tie me down. Well, you know I never meant to play around. If you love me, oh, believe me, and I'll go with you now. We've got to get together, tie me down. We've got to get together, tie me down. Well, thank you very much.
Great tunes, Ronnie. Let's head back on over to Chef Chris's kitchen to see how his dish is coming along.
So after the ginger, we're gonna use some lemons. I'm probably gonna use 2 of these to start off with. And I have a third there if I need it. So I'm just gonna go after the juice. I'm just gonna half them and put a little strainer to catch any seeds. And squeeze all this lemon juice inside. If you have a nice like hand pressed juicer, that's better, but I don't at home, so that's what I'm doing. All the juice out. Make sure you get it all. And then discard it. And I'm going to grab a little bit of garlic also. So with the garlic, crush it like that, take out what you need. I'm going to start with 2 cloves of garlic. With these, I'm just after mincing it, so kind of the best way. You can peel them, but the easiest way if you want minced garlic is just crush them like that with your knife. Since we're going to mince it up anyway, it doesn't matter that they're all smashed, and it'll actually help you a bit later when you have to cut it. So just go through these with your knife, kind of basically you're after the same size you went with the ginger. So it's nice mince. Okay, so that's going in. The sauce is going to be very kind of vibrant, very in your face, but that's kind of the point. So you want something to offset the nice crispy squid and give you a lot of flavor with your bite of squid. Some of the little mix. Then next we have our lemongrass. This is not ideal, but again, Newfoundland in a pandemic, if you have to use the 2 lemongrass, it's fine. It's not as good as the other stuff, but it's okay. I'm just gonna eyeball this, but probably about a tablespoon of lemongrass paste. This paste is a fair bit stronger than using the raw stuff, so it's gonna be a little light on it. So right now we have a lot of punchy flavors. We have acidity, we have garlic, we have ginger. We're gonna use next is tamari. Tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce. Flavor is very similar, but it is gluten-free unlike regular soy sauce. So I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of this. It's going to kind of be the backbone of the sauce. Maybe a fair bit. Then I'm going to add honey. So for the honey, right now we have acidic, we have salty, we have punchy. We need something sweet to balance it out. So for the honey, that's going to be about 3 tablespoons again of that. At this point, our habanero should be cool enough to cut. If we're doing this at home, I might use a glove, but I'm kind of used to it. I'm going to take it off, take the stem off, open, just kind of scrape the seeds out with your knife at an angle. That. Get all the seeds, get all the pulp on the inside, get rid of that. And this we're going to take and we're going to dice up, kind of like the ginger. We're going to make strips of it. Take it, we're going to turn around, and we're going to dice it. So this is the 1 habanero. I kept a second in case I need it. Definitely want to get this pretty finely diced. This is quite spicy. Oh, mix that in. Now, after you've done that, what you're going to definitely want to do is turn your board over if you're using one, or get a new one. And you're also going to rinse off your knife and your things. And I'm going to spin, and I'm going to need you to taste the sauce, see if it needs anything else in it. Or if it's not quite right, if I need to add anything else. We're just after like a nice loose dipping sauce and something that's quite chunky and has a fair bit of texture. It tastes good. It's really got nice, like, sweet and sour and salty. The spice is not too heavy because we tried the habaneros. That was going really good with the squid.
Delicious, Chris. Now it's time we take a visit to Nan's Kitchen Bakery at Powell's Supermarket, where we'll be joined by Valerie Morgan and Brenda Mugford as they show us how their famous from scratch cakes are made.
I'm joined by Brenda Munkert, who's our bakery manager at Powell's Famous Bakery. And I'm so happy to be in the bakery with you, Brenda. Not only does it smell amazing, everything looks so beautiful too. Brenda's one of the amazing cake artists that we have here. Brenda, tell me a little bit about how you got started with cake decorating. Because I think it's kind of something came from your family. Am I right in saying that?
Yes, from my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother Mugford, she used to, well, she'd be 100 and something now she lived, but she's pretty great.
Okay.
And she done all kinds of cakes for people around, wedding cakes especially. So of course I learned pretty much from her. And then I just went on.
So you've been decorating cakes for quite some time now. How long has your career spanned thus far?
40 years I guess, because my daughter's first birthday, I made a Winnie the Pooh cake.
And that's when it started.
That's when it all started.
And you've been doing it since.
Ever since.
And your love of it hasn't faded?
No, not at all. I love a good challenge and everything. Like people bring in different ideas and ask us to do it, and we try.
Absolutely.
It comes out pretty good.
It sure does. Not only does it look beautiful, but it tastes amazing too. I know, Brenda, I'm sure the techniques have kind of changed over the years.
Oh yes, yes. We do a lot of research. Pinterest is lovely. Lovely source for that research, and we just trying to come up with great ideas.
Yeah.
And everything we do here is from scratch.
Absolutely.
We have Marvelous Baker in there, and she does all her cakes from scratch.
So your team is coming in early in the morning, bakes cakes that morning for your orders for that day or the next day or whatnot.
Yes, yeah.
And what about I guess our Powell's traditional icing is one of the favorites. Yeah.
It's very much the favorite. We've introduced a couple of more, but everybody goes back to Powell's icing.
And that's an original recipe as well.
It is, yes.
One we've been using for quite some time.
Quite some time. Well, I was here before for 10 years, and now back, but we've used it way past that for people that, I guess, ever since Powell started.
Really, yes.
Yeah.
Stood the test of time.
It certainly did.
Is one of my favorites for sure. But if you know, if the traditional icing is not your favorite, I guess what are some of the other options people?
We do buttercream icing. That is very nice. People like that. And we also have, we call it whippy.
Okay.
It's just a vanilla icing filling, it's called. And but it's almost like I explained, it's like a butcher whip.
Okay.
So if you want something really light, then that's a good option too.
Wonderful. So Brenda, you're working on a beautiful cake now. I know you guys do all kinds of different occasions and whatnot, but you really love it when people bring in ideas for you guys, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. This one here is a floral cake. When it's finished, it'll be all different kinds of flowers. These are called rosettes, and then there'll be some monks on there, and hydrangeas. That's fine.
Wow.
So all that'll be on there. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I've seen you do that one in a variety of colors, so really can fit any
occasion for sure. And people will tell us what colors they prefer, and that's what we'll try to match up. But we haven't had anybody yet disappointed with it, so all good.
It's a beautiful cake. So Brenda, you were talking about some of the different challenging or fun cakes you've been requested to do over the years. So tell us a little bit about some of those.
Okay, so one of the memorable ones was a Harry Potter cake, which was a customer came in and for her little girl, and she was right into Harry Potter, so she brought in this picture of a 3-tier Harry Potter cake. We did it. She was really satisfied, and it was very fun to make.
And so anyone can come in with a photo or an idea, and you guys will help bring it to life, right?
Yes, we sure will do that. Yeah, we can bring it to life. We can do whatever you want, pretty much. We're game for anything.
Awesome.
Wow, between the pizza and now the cakes, you can have a square feed. Thank you to Powell's Supermarket, a proud sponsor of the 2020 Song Stages and Seafood Festival. Powell's Supermarket, your local grocer since 1948. Let's head back on over to Chef Chris Mercer's kitchen to check on his dish.
So I wanted to make the sauce first because that's going to give it time to kind of steep and flavor and let all the flavors mingle and get better. Next, we are going to do our coating for the squid, which, as I mentioned, is totally gluten-free. What we're going to use is potato starch and cornstarch. Potato starch you don't see around very often in homes, but it makes a really nice crispy crust. It's really good to use on fried chicken. It's really good to use on anything that you're going to do a fried coating for, basically. Makes a really nice crust and gets really nice puffs of crispiness on the outside. I'm going to do about 2 cups of this. Basically, I'm going to do like a 2-to-1 ratio of potato starch to cornstarch. So, potato, cornstarch, cup of cornstarch, that. Now what we're going to do is add some spice to it. So what I add to this is I've got fennel and cumin seed. I'm going to do both whole and ground. So I'm going to do a little pinch of whole fennel seed and a similar pinch of whole cumin seed. And then what I've got here is some ground fennel and cumin seed mixed together that I did before. I'm going to add the ground stuff as well. And then also going to add a little bit of salt. A half teaspoon. And I'm going to add some pepper. And then I'm going to whisk that together. And finally, we're going to do our squid. So there's tubes and tentacles. I've just rinsed them. These are already pretty well cleaned. They don't have the exoskeleton skeleton or anything inside. So you just got to make sure. Sometimes they have little fins on the side here. They haven't been fully cleaned first. Or sometimes they might have little beaks inside the tentacles. These ones have been cleaned pretty well. So we don't have to do much except cut them. I'm just going to make sure I check all the tentacles, see if they don't have a little beak inside. No one really wants to eat that when they're eating their salt and pepper squid. So I'm going to put these in here, our little dredging vessel. And checking that. Now we've got our tubes. Get rid of this and wash my hands. So, squid tubes, what we're going to do is make nice little strips of it. But one thing we want to do is make sure we got them scored so they'll crisp up right. So what a lot of people do and what we could do is we could just cut this into rings. But the problem with that is they're probably going to end up being tough because they haven't been scored. So what you do, just open up the tube, put your knife right inside, hold on so it doesn't slip, and cut one side open like this. This is called butterflying. And I'm just going to flatten it out. And I'm going to put my knife like this using the very tip, not the entire knife. And I'm going to make little crosshatch scores on the entire inside of the tube. It's going to curl and it's going to crisp up and it's going to suck up all that dredging and it's going to make a really nice squid after. So the very tip of the knife, I'm just going to kind of do this scoring. I'm going to make as many little lines as I can without going through. If you go through a bit, it's fine. But just try and kind of lightly feather it. And then what you do is take it and you cut it into strips. And put it over here.
It's getting there now. Let's head over to some music by Ronnie Power.
I'll sing another song now that I wrote as a wedding present for my brother's wedding 23 years ago. And I sang this one last year at the Song Stages and Seafood Festival as well. And I'll do it for you right now. And like I said, folks, looking forward to getting back next year. And it's great festival. Come out and take part. The song is called September Sky. Dance with me tonight, my love. Meet me See you next year.
Sounding great, Ronnie. Let's have a look at how Chef Chris's salt and pepper squid with lemongrass charred habanero dipping sauce is doing.
So what you're probably learning now is that if you've ever eaten tough calamari in a restaurant, this is why, because it hasn't been prepared properly. Probably either bought frozen squid tubes and haven't processed them further, or they've gotten their whole squid in and they haven't properly processed it afterwards. And just make a little space for dredging the squid. So, got a big pot of oil heating up. I'll have something for taking that out with. You want to like a nice big slotted spoon or something like this. That's ready to go. I've got a plate with some paper towel, or you could use a rack or something, but this is what I'm going to use for draining it after. You see what you can, if you use a thermometer on this, I'm just going to kind of go by feel, but if you're going by thermometer, I would go for around like 350 degrees, 340 to 350. I can tell it's getting pretty hot. If you wanted to test it without having to use a thermometer, you can kind of take a little bit of your dredge and just kind of trickle it in. As you can see, it kind of sizzles so that we know it's pretty hot. And we're going to know when we put the squid in, it's going to do the same thing. So once your oil is at the right temperature you want to kind of regulate the temperature. You don't want to get a lot hotter because it's going to scorch your food before you cook it. So you can kind of turn the heat down a little bit. Now we're going to combine these. So we're going to take our dredging and add it to our squid. You'd always want to do it this way, because if you do it the other way around, then you're going to ruin all your dredging. And we're not going to use all this right now, so you can save it for the next time we make squid, or use it to dredge something else we're going to fry. So just get in there and get it all mixed in. Now, that's pretty good. At this point, you want to make sure you have everything ready, like have your draining rig ready, because squid fries pretty fast. You don't want to have it in there too long. You're going for about 90 seconds, basically. Or it's going to be nice and crispy, it's going to be cooked, and it's going to be tender. So I'm going to take my squid. I'm going to very carefully drop it in. You don't want to crowd your pan too much, but I know we don't got a lot of squid here, so it's not going to happen. So I'm just going to add it all in. But if you had a lot you were going to do, I wouldn't put much more than this in at one time. Really slot the spoon, kind of move it around a bit to make sure nothing's sticking. Make sure everything is moving around. Almost done. You can see how it all ballooned up, and you can see our scoring came through and made it all really crispy on the outside. The squid like this, you don't want to really need to be afraid of overcooking it. Like, you don't want to cook it too long. But you really want to make it crispy. That's part of the joy of eating fried squid. So, at least 90 seconds. You can go longer. You can go for 2 minutes. You can go 2.5 minutes and be fine. You really want to get it nice and crispy and crunchy. Especially when you're going to douse it in a wet dipping sauce after.
Newfoundland and Labrador have become famous for their beautiful tourism ads. Here's their latest one, A Tangled Tale.
In the quiet of the morning calm, where the sun rises at the dawn, and the birds sing their waking song, there's a story to be told. It rounds the corners and the cliffs, past the dories and the skiffs. After making its rounds through the lips of a teller from Forteau, there's tales to be told of fairies and trees, of ships that wrecked in the northeastern breeze, and of giants brought down to their knees by the beauty of this place. You never know where stories will appear. Could be aboard a boat or atop a pier. But one thing remains abundantly clear. It's worth the time to listen. So if you hear a teller telling you a tangled tale, or maybe two, rest assured, every word is true, especially the bits they make up.
So much beautiful scenery can be found around our province. Thank you to the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador for sponsoring our 2020 festival. Let's check back in with Chef Chris Mercer.
Look, I'm just gonna touch one, see how it's doing. A little bit longer. That should be good. I'm gonna take this out now. Now, salt and pepper squid means plenty of salt and pepper, so while it's still hot and just came out of the frying oil, I'm going to take it with a really good dose of salt and pepper. And we're going to get our dipping sauce ready here. So grab a spoon. So just got a little vessel for dipping. Now, I'm just going to let our squid cool off a bit. I don't want to bite into it right now. What I'm going to do is just take the tops of these green onions and use them for garnish. So I'm just going to take my little paring knife. Just going to cut in these thin rings. Just go over tops to make it look pretty and add a little freshness. Good. And if you have leftover lemon, it's always nice to have the lemon wedge on the side. So I'm just gonna cut the cheek off the lemon. Have that. So take our squid. Take our green onion. And our lemon. And that is it. Salt and pepper fried squid with lemongrass, charred habanero, dipping sauce, and lemon. Enjoy.
Thanks so much, Chef Chris. That salt and pepper squid with lemongrass, charred habanero dipping sauce looked amazing. Thank you also to Ronnie for providing the great music for tonight. Once again, the 2020 Song Stages and Seafood Festival is proudly sponsored by the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador and Powell's Supermarket. Visit them online at powellsnl.ca and let them do the shopping for you. From their family to yours, stay home and stay safe. On behalf of all of us here, thank you for watching. Be sure to join us tomorrow night for a cooking demo by Chef Corey McPherson and entertainment by Pam Parsons. Goodbye for now.